Come on. Here's your shot. Here's your time, Ruben. Here's your time. 4, 3, 2, 1. Get him! Get him! Get him! Yes! Yes! We're going to the natty! We're going to the natty! We're going to the natty! Let's go! Yes! Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to Storm on the Field with DJ. I am DJ, and ladies and gentlemen, for all of you who said that we were frauds, for all of you that said we were going to do nothing in the playoffs, that we were going to get beat up by A&M, Ole Miss, and Ohio State, I got news for you. The U is headed back to the Natty. The U is officially back, and we are going to be playing for a national title on national television January 19th, Martin Luther King Day, and I don't think I've still processed it, man. Obviously, in the intro, you saw my reaction to the victory over Ole Miss. Hell of a game. Props to Ole Miss, props to Miami. Both of the teams played an incredible game. Cannot say the same thing about Oregon and Indiana. That blowout win for Indiana really showed how dominant of a team Indiana can be. But we're here to talk about the national title, and that's not Oregon, Indiana. That's Miami, Indiana. And what I think about this game and how I think this game is going to go. So let's get into it. Guys, before we get into the video, talking about this national championship, I just want to really thank you all. Thank you for all the support throughout the entire season. There were many times where I thought this channel was going to go nowhere, and that I was going to be averaging one viewer. You guys have showed me that I could do way more on YouTube, especially that Indiana-Illinois reaction video. It is still my most viewed video on this channel. Almost 2,000 views, which is insane to me to think that 2,000 people are watching me watch football and talk about football. So thank you guys so much, so much for all the support this season. I wasn't as consistent as I wanted to be, but next season we will for sure be back. Hopefully more consistent than ever, and with hopefully Miami coming out as a national title. And yeah, if you guys could continue that support that you've been showing me all season by clicking the like button, clicking subscribe down below, and commenting on this video about what you think the national title is going to be, or anything you're excited for the off season with college football. But yeah, let's get into this national title game. So Indiana, Miami. It is a away game for Miami, but technically a home game, as this game is being played at Hard Rock Stadium, the first team in college football playoff history to play in their home stadium. Also the first time between the BCS era as well. Obviously these two teams are both insane. Indiana coming into this game at 15-0, undefeated, and more or less dominating in all games that they played. Especially that huge win this past week against my Ducks, or yesterday at the time of recording, against my Ducks, 56-22. But they also dominated their other game in the playoffs against Alabama, 38-3. Now, looking at their schedule, you see how they have dominated. They had a decently close game with Old Dominion somehow, with a 13-point win. After that, they scored almost 30 points in almost every single game that they played. The only exceptions being Iowa, Penn State, and Ohio State in the Big Ten title. Every other game had 30-plus points for the Hoosiers. Speaking of, those games that the Hoosiers did not score 20-plus in, they still, or 30-plus in, they still played well. Mendoza was still outstanding in both of those games. Um, of course, started off the season with the biggest win, which I had just mentioned, which is my most viewed reaction video between the Hoosiers and Illinois. A 63-10 win. Then another ranked win against Oregon. Close call against Penn State at Penn State. And then obviously beating Ohio State in the Big Ten title before their domination in the playoffs. Looking at Miami, I don't even have to look at ESPN for this one. I know how it went. This season started off with Miami beating Notre Dame in Miami. This was the game that really decided Miami's season, as it turns out, as Miami got into the playoffs over Notre Dame due to this head-to-head win. Of course, a win over Bethune-Cookman, ranked USF team that was looking like a team that could have been a shoo-in for the playoffs. Then wins against Florida and Florida State before a loss to Louisville, win over Stanford, and a loss to SMU. Before finishing the season with a dominant finish, beating each opponent by at least 17 points. At least 17. And their closest was Virginia Tech, and they only allowed 17 points to Virginia Tech. 7 of those coming in the fourth quarter. I believe on a last-minute drive by VT. So holding all their opponents in the last 4 games to more or less 10 points until the fourth quarter. Pretty impressive for the Canes. And then their most impressive has been these playoffs. Obviously, first game of the playoffs, tough game for Miami. Weren't able to finish drives offensively, especially on the foot of Carter Davis. The wind made it so he missed 3 field goals and was 1 of 4 on the day on field goals. Miami ends up winning that game 10-3, and the defense ends up saving Miami. Ohio State, Miami was able to run the ball a lot over Ohio State and really show that they were a dominant defense and maybe the best defense in the country against this Ohio State team. A team that had been really hyped up, said that they were going to destroy Miami. Ohio State opened up with a 70% chance to beat Miami, according to the ESPN analytics. And Miami was a 9.5-point underdog, and they came out and dominated, especially in that first half, shutting out the Buckeyes in the first half, which was the first time that had happened in, I believe, a couple of years. And then this past Thursday, Ole Miss versus Miami, this game was insane. Obviously, Beck and the offense was the one that really turned it up in this game. They were insane as the defense was struggling a bit with Trinidad Chambliss. They were able to go, and Beck finishes it off with a rushing touchdown. His first, by the way, since the 3rd week of the season. So, with that being said, what do I see in this matchup? I see in this matchup 2 very well coached teams. 2 probably the best 2 teams in the country. That's why they are in the national title. But they stack up very well against each other. I think Miami's defense works very well against pocket passers like Mendoza. Mendoza does not do what Trinidad Chambliss does. He sits back in the pocket and he waits for his open receiver to happen. Chambliss was able to get the ball out quick. Miami does not allow quarterbacks to sit in the pocket. The run games for both these teams are incredible. With, I believe his name is Black for Indiana, and of course the passing game with Surratt, Mendoza, and all of these receivers on the Indiana side. And the rushers Hemby, Black, and Martin doing insane this season. Elijah Surratt, Charlie Becker, E.J. Williams, Omar Cooper Jr., all great receivers on that side. And of course, you can't forget about their defensive stars like Isaiah Jones and Jamari Sharp. So you got to be careful with this Indiana team. So you can't... I mean, it's obvious to say that they are the number 1 team in the country for a reason, and they have dominated every single game for a reason. But I do think Miami stacks up pretty well against Indiana. Indiana opens up this game as a 7.5-point favorite, with the over/under just under 50 points at 48.5, and Indiana is a minus 310 to win this game. ESPN gives Indiana a 68.3% chance for the victory here in this national title game, and I could see why this team is scary, and especially since Miami has been dealing with some injuries these past couple of games, it could definitely be seen as why Indiana is favored big time in this one, or at least by a touchdown. However, I really do think Miami has what it takes to beat this team. I think Carson Beck has the experience and has shown you that he can do what needs to be done when he has to. He can put the team on his back. He is no longer scared of just going out and running that ball when need be. He is no longer being conservative on the run. He is running, and he is putting his heart out on that field for the Hurricanes. Of course, Mark Fletcher, very similar situation there, will not stop running no matter what. I've not seen Fletch give up on a run this entire postseason. And of course, you have the entire thing with Malachi Tony, that awesome, I would even say quadruple threat of the true freshman receiver. But Miami has also showed you that they don't need to rely necessarily on all these three guys. They can rely on other players. Keelan Marion was a very huge piece in the game against Ole Miss this Thursday. Also, Marty Brown still played incredible in this game. CJ Daniels has been the hero a couple of times for the Canes. And they have just been there. And looking at the defensive side, you would always think that it would be Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor making all the plays, but no, Jacoby Thomas, Mohamed Toure, Xavier Lucas, Wesley Bissaint, Keontae Scott constantly making plays on this defense. So this really comes down to, in my opinion, how good does Miami play? In my opinion, Miami has to play perfect to beat this Indiana team. And the reason I say that is not because I think Miami is bad. I think Miami is the best that they've ever been. And against any other team, they would easily win the national title. However, this Indiana team feels special. They have a chance to become the start of a dynasty. They're already being compared to 2019 LSU as one of the greatest college football teams of all time. And the way Miami played their last game, with the multiple penalties on the offensive line and the lack of discipline and just some turnovers, or drop turnovers, especially on the defensive side. We had 4 dropped interceptions. That will not be enough to beat Indiana. You have to play perfect. And I truly do think Mario Cristobal can get the Canes ready to be perfect to face the Hoosiers. So, with that being said, what's my score prediction? We got a special whiteboard for the national title. And let's go with the score prediction, as I am going to give Miami a solid 27, and the Indiana Hoosiers 24. The Miami Hurricanes will be national champions on Monday, January 19th, 2026. I do think the Canes will be able to pull this off. I actually think the score prediction could be completely wrong, because I really do feel like Indiana does struggle against those higher level defenses. Oregon, I don't know. That honestly, that one, I don't know much about Oregon's defense at this moment. I don't know if they were as good as they thought they were or what. But I'm mainly going off of the game between Indiana and Ohio State. Now, yes, both teams have changed since then. But that's the common opponent we have between both teams. And I see something in Miami this season that I have not seen in my lifetime. That the heart that they give, the entire love for the game, for Coach Cristobal, for the U, um, is incredible. And obviously give props to every team that has made in these playoffs. They have played incredible games. Even teams like JMU and Tulane, they put up slight fights at least. They didn't just sit there and take it. And Miami has showed me in these playoffs that they can compete for a national title. That Carson Beck, who I thought was our main issue, can put the team on his back when need be, and he can make the plays. It has showed me that Fletcher is not any worn out running back, that he is still that guy for the Canes. It has showed me that this defense is the best defense in the country, and that could stop any offense in the country if they play well enough, if they play clean, that they could stop any defense or offense in the country. And I do believe Indiana has the best offense in the country, and it really will come down to the discipline for the Canes. They cannot drop interceptions. They cannot be making mistakes on coverage. They cannot be having pass interference penalties or targetings or roughing the passers or late hits. You cannot be having those types of penalties, especially in crucial situations. But I think Mario Cristobal could prepare this team to do that exactly. I think that they could play a very clean game. They showed it to you against Ohio State and against Texas A&M. I believe in the entire Ohio State game that there was one accepted penalty, and I believe that was on Ohio State, if I am correct. I don't see team stats. Yeah, 2 penalties for Ohio State. Miami had 0 penalties in that game. If Miami plays the way that they did against Ohio State, they will be national champions in less than 10 days. But hey, that's just my opinion. And yeah, I still don't think it's processed in my mind that Miami's headed to a national title. This has been a dream of mine for years, seeing the Canes reach this. And it's finally here, and it's been a dream of mine just to talk football with people, even on the internet. So thank you guys so much. There's going to be one more video this season, which will be 1 or 2. For sure, we will have my final thoughts for the Miami-Indiana national title game. And we will also have, maybe, a Miami national title celebration. But hey, that's all from me. I bleed orange and green, and I yellow. And DJ out. Thank you all for an incredible season. I'll see you all next season. Go Canes. Let's go win that natty.